What if your breath wasn't just a function of survival, but a sacred instrument of creation? There's a HeartMath Institute discovery that explains why you feel stuck despite all your personal development work, and why trying to change your thoughts will never work. The moment you understand what you're actually experiencing, you're not breathing to survive, you're breathing to create reality. Everything changes. Now here's what's shocking about this discovery. Most people take 23,000 breaths every single day completely unconsciously, rushing through meetings thinking about the next task, lying in bed replaying conversations, sitting in traffic feeling frustrated. But they never ask why their external reality keeps reflecting their internal chaos. They're trying to fix their circumstances instead of changing what creates those circumstances. They react emotionally to their problems, which just generates more of the same patterns, because they don't realize their breath is literally broadcasting their frequency to everyone within 8 feet of them. And this is exactly why positive thinking and visualization don't work for most people. But there's a quantum principle that changes everything. When you understand that every breath creates an electromagnetic field that either builds the life you want or dismantles it, you can stop fighting your circumstances and start programming your reality from the inside out. I'm going to show you the exact 4-step sacred breath protocol that transforms you from someone reacting to life into someone consciously creating it. Plus, I'll give you the quantum pause technique that makes this automatic in just 0.3 seconds, so you become the calm center that organizes reality instead of being swept away by it. Every unconscious breath you take is a missed opportunity to literally reshape your reality. And most people waste 23,000 chances every single day. When you were born, you didn't think your way into existence. You breathed. Your very first act in this world wasn't a thought, a word, or even a cry. It was an inhale. Your soul entered this reality not through the complexity of language or the cleverness of your mind, but through the simple, profound rhythm of breath. In that moment, you knew something that you've since forgotten. Breath is the bridge between who you are and who you're becoming. But somewhere along the way, we learned to breathe like machines instead of like the sacred beings we are. We began breathing from survival rather than from soul. Take a moment right now and notice your breath. Where is it coming from? If you're like most people, it's probably shallow, quick, centered high in your chest. This is what I call mechanical breathing, the kind that keeps your body alive but leaves your spirit starving. Ancient wisdom keepers understood something we've forgotten in our modern world. From the Sanskrit word prana to the Hebrew ruach, cultures across time recognized breath as far more than a biological function. They knew it was the sacred thread connecting the seen and unseen worlds, the physical and the quantum, the human and the divine. In these traditions, conscious breathing wasn't just a practice, it was a doorway. The Egyptians taught that each breath contained the power to awaken different chambers of consciousness. The yogis discovered that breath could shift not just your inner state, but the very fabric of reality around you. They weren't speaking metaphorically. They understood that when you breathe consciously, you're not just moving air through your lungs. You're moving energy through existence itself. Think about this. Every emotion you've ever felt, every decision you've ever made, every moment of clarity or confusion has been accompanied by a particular breathing pattern. When you're anxious, your breath becomes fast and shallow. When you're at peace, it naturally deepens and slows. Your breath isn't just reflecting your state, it's creating it. The difference between mechanical breathing and sacred breathing is awareness. Mechanical breathing happens to you. Sacred breathing happens through you, with you as a conscious participant in the conversation between your inner world and the quantum field that surrounds you. When you begin to breathe with intention, with presence, with reverence for this simple act that connects you to life itself, something magical begins to happen. You stop being a passive recipient of whatever reality happens to show up, and you become an active participant in shaping it. This is where breath becomes sacred, because every breath you take from that place is no longer just keeping you alive, it's keeping you aligned. What I'm about to reveal will shatter the illusion you've been living. You think you're in control of your thoughts, but you're actually their prisoner. Most of us spend our entire lives believing we are our thoughts. We wake up in the morning and immediately the internal chatter begins. What do I have to do today? I'm running late. I wonder if they liked what I said yesterday. I should probably check my phone. And we assume this voice in our head is us. But what if I told you that's not who you really are? Right now, as you're reading this, I want you to do something simple. Notice your breath again. But this time, don't try to change it. Just watch it. Feel the air moving in through your nostrils, filling your lungs, then slowly releasing. As you do this, something remarkable is happening. You're becoming the observer of your breath rather than just the breather. Now, while you're watching your breath, notice what your mind is doing. It might be commenting, "This is silly," or "I'm not doing this right," or "When will this be over?" Here's the beautiful revelation. If you can hear those thoughts, if you can observe them coming and going, then you cannot be those thoughts. You are the one watching them. This is the birth of the observer, the part of you that exists beyond the endless stream of mental chatter. Think of it like sitting by a river. Your thoughts are the water flowing past. Sometimes the current is gentle, sometimes it's rushing and turbulent. But you, the real you, are sitting on the riverbank watching it all go by. You're not the river, you're the awareness that perceives the river. In ancient traditions, they used the metaphor of the sky and clouds. Your thoughts are like clouds passing across the vast expanse of your consciousness. Some clouds are dark and stormy, worry, fear, doubt. Others are light and fluffy, joy, excitement, hope. But notice this. The sky itself is never disturbed by the clouds. It remains constant, spacious, unchanged, whether the weather is clear or stormy. This observer consciousness is your true nature, the part of you that has remained unchanged since you were a child, the part that will remain unchanged until your last breath. It's the witness, the awareness, the silent presence that has been watching your entire life unfold. Your ego mind, that voice that never stops talking, wants you to believe it's in charge. It creates elaborate stories about who you are, what you should do, what others think of you. It lives in constant commentary about the past and anxiety about the future. But the observer lives only in this moment, in the eternal now where all real power resides. When you begin to identify more with the observer and less with the mental chatter, something profound shifts. You stop being reactive and become responsive. Instead of being swept away by every emotion or thought, you can watch them arise, acknowledge them, and choose how to respond. This is where your real freedom begins. The breath becomes your anchor to this observer consciousness. Every time you return your attention to your breathing, you're returning home to who you really are. You're stepping out of the drama of your thoughts and into the peace of pure awareness. This isn't just a spiritual concept. This is quantum mechanics in action. The observer effect in quantum physics tells us that the act of observation literally changes reality. When you become the conscious observer of your inner world, you gain the power to influence and shape your outer world. Have you ever experienced a moment where time slowed down? Maybe it was during a crisis or in the arms of someone you loved. Hidden in the gap between your breaths is a 0.3-second window where you can literally reprogram your reality. But 99% of people never learn to access it. Those moments when time slowed down that you just remembered, they weren't accidents. They were glimpses of what becomes possible when you slip into the space between thoughts, between heartbeats, between breaths. In that suspended moment, you touched something eternal, something beyond the ordinary flow of time. You discovered the quantum pause. Take a breath right now, but this time pay attention not just to the inhale and exhale, but to what happens in between. There's a moment, brief but profound, where everything stops. Your lungs are full, but you haven't begun to exhale yet. And then, at the bottom of your exhale, another pause before the next inhale begins. These aren't empty spaces, they're sacred doorways. Ancient Egyptian initiates understood this secret. In the mystery schools along the Nile, student seekers were taught to enter these gaps with their consciousness. They called it dwelling in the silence of Ra, the space where the sun god rested between breaths of creation. These weren't just breathing exercises, they were training in accessing the field of infinite possibility that exists in every moment of stillness. The Egyptians knew what quantum physics is now proving. In the space between one state and another, anything can emerge. It's like the moment between notes in a beautiful piece of music. Without the pause, there would be no rhythm, no beauty, only noise. Your breath creates the same sacred rhythm in your life. In this quantum pause, something remarkable happens. Your usual mental commentary falls away. The constant stream of I should, I must, I need goes quiet. And in that silence, pure intention can crystallize. Not the desperate wanting of the ego, but the clear knowing of the soul. It's here that your deepest desires stop being wishes and become instructions to the field. Think of this pause as the womb of creation itself. Just as a child grows in the dark, quiet space of the mother's womb, your dreams and intentions need this sacred darkness to take shape. The ancient mystics called it the eye of the needle, that impossibly small opening through which infinite possibilities must pass to become reality. Most people rush past these moments. They breathe quickly, thinking constantly, always moving toward the next thing. But when you learn to rest in the pause, when you can be comfortable in the space between what was and what will be, you discover that this is where all true power lives. It's not about holding your breath or forcing anything. It's about learning to be present with the natural rhythm of your being. And in that presence, touching the place where intention meets infinite possibility. In the quantum pause, you're not trying to control the field, you're communing with it. But accessing this quantum pause is only the beginning. There's something deeper waiting to be awakened. Your body has been sending you signals for years that you've been ignoring, and those ignored messages are literally blocking your ability to manifest. That deeper awakening I mentioned isn't found by reaching higher or thinking more sophisticated thoughts. It's discovered by traveling inward, by descending from the realm of mind into the sacred landscape of your body. Just as ancient civilizations built magnificent temples to house the divine, you too must construct an inner temple, not with stone and mortar, but with breath and awareness. Think about the great temples of the world, the pyramids of Egypt, the cathedrals of Europe, the sacred spaces where people have gathered for millennia to touch something greater than themselves. These weren't built randomly. Every column was placed with intention, every chamber designed to channel and amplify divine energy. Your body is no different. It's already a temple, but most of us have never learned to inhabit it consciously. The ancient Egyptians understood this profoundly. They mapped the human body as a living temple, with energy centers corresponding to different chambers of consciousness. They knew that breath was the key that unlocked each room, revealing not just the divine within, but also the stories, traumas, and patterns that had been stored in the body's wisdom. As you begin to breathe more consciously, you might notice something interesting happening. Certain areas of your body may feel tight, constricted, or somehow unavailable. Your shoulders might carry the weight of responsibilities you've been shouldering for years. Your chest might feel armored, protecting a heart that learned to close after betrayal. Your stomach might hold knots of anxiety about the future, or your throat might feel restricted from words you never allowed yourself to speak. These aren't just physical sensations, they're biographical. Your body has been keeping score of your life, storing the emotional residue of every experience in its tissues. That tightness in your chest might be holding on to grief you never fully processed. The tension in your shoulders could be carrying burdens that were never yours to bear in the first place. But here's the beautiful thing about conscious breathing. It doesn't just reveal these patterns, it helps dissolve them. Each conscious breath is like gentle renovation work on your inner temple, clearing out old debris, opening blocked passageways, restoring the natural flow of energy that wants to move through you. Imagine descending slowly through the floors of your inner temple with each breath. As you breathe into your chest, you're visiting the chamber of the heart, the seat of love, connection, and emotional wisdom. As your breath moves into your belly, you're entering the chamber of power and intuition where your deepest knowing resides. With each breath, you're not just observing these spaces, you're purifying them, blessing them, reclaiming them. The Egyptians built their pyramids to align with celestial energies, creating structures that could channel cosmic forces into earthly form. Through conscious breathing, you're doing the same thing with your body. You're aligning your inner architecture with the higher frequencies of love, peace, and creative power that want to flow through you. This isn't about perfecting your body or forcing it to be different. It's about learning to inhabit it fully, to honor the intelligence that's been guiding you all along, and to clear the energetic blocks that have been preventing your fullest expression. Once your inner temple is built, something remarkable begins to happen to everything around you. Science has proven your breath creates an electromagnetic field that extends 8 feet from your body, which means you're unconsciously influencing everyone around you right now. That remarkable thing that begins to happen around you isn't just poetic metaphor. It's measurable science. Research from the HeartMath Institute has shown that your heart generates an electromagnetic field that extends far beyond your physical body, and this field changes dramatically based on how you breathe. When your breathing is chaotic, shallow, or stressed, your field broadcasts that chaos to everyone within its reach. But when your breathing becomes coherent, deep, and intentional, your field becomes a source of harmony that others can actually feel. Think of your breath field like the surface of a still lake. When you breathe from anxiety or rushing thoughts, you're like someone frantically splashing in the water, creating waves and ripples that disturb everything around you. But when you breathe from that peaceful center we've been cultivating, you become like the mountain reflected perfectly on the lake's calm surface, still, grounded, and magnetically peaceful. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt either agitated or calm without anyone saying a word? Have you ever noticed how certain people seem to carry peace with them wherever they go, while others seem to bring chaos? This isn't imagination. It's the breath field in action. We're constantly transmitting our internal state through the rhythm and quality of our breathing, and others are receiving these signals whether they realize it or not. Children are especially sensitive to these fields. They haven't yet learned to override their natural intuition, so they respond immediately to the energy we're broadcasting. When a parent breathes with stress and anxiety, children often become restless or clingy without understanding why. But when that same parent takes a few conscious breaths and settles into their center, the child often calms naturally, as if by magic. This field effect extends to every interaction you have. When you breathe consciously before difficult conversations, you're not just preparing yourself. You're creating an energetic container that can hold whatever needs to emerge. When you walk into your workplace centered in your breath, you're subtly influencing the entire atmosphere, making it easier for creativity and collaboration to flow. The beautiful thing about understanding your breath field is that it shows you how connected we all really are. You're not just an isolated individual trying to improve your own life. You're part of a vast web of consciousness, and every breath you take with awareness contributes to the overall field of peace and possibility on this planet. But this influence isn't something you need to think about or manage. It happens naturally when you focus on aligning your own inner temple. The field responds to authenticity, not performance. When you breathe from a genuine place of presence and peace, that genuineness radiates outward without any effort on your part. This is why the ancient teachings often spoke of the awakened person as someone who serves simply by being. They understood that consciousness itself is contagious, that peace is magnetic, and that one person breathing from their true center can shift the energy of an entire room. You've traveled far without ever leaving your seat, not across lands, but across layers of yourself through rhythm, silence, observation. The most successful people in history mastered one thing you've never been taught: how to access infinite power through absolute stillness. And in that traveling through layers of yourself, you've discovered something the world doesn't want you to know. The most powerful thing you can do is often to do nothing at all. We live in a culture that worships action, that tells us more effort equals more results, that keeps us constantly busy, constantly striving, constantly pushing toward the next goal. But the quantum field that responds to your consciousness, operates by completely different rules. The field doesn't respond to how hard you try. It responds to how aligned you are. It doesn't care about your to-do list or your 5-year plan. It cares about your frequency, your coherence, your state of being. And the most coherent state of all is stillness, not the stillness of exhaustion or giving up, but the dynamic stillness of a mountain. Think about a mountain for a moment. It appears completely still, yet it's tremendously powerful. It doesn't struggle against storms, it allows them to pass. It doesn't chase the sunset, it simply receives the light. Rivers flow around it, seasons change upon it, yet it remains centered in its own presence. This is the kind of stillness that moves worlds. When you learn to breathe into this mountain-like stillness, something extraordinary happens. Reality begins to rearrange itself around you instead of against you. Opportunities that you could never have forced begin to appear naturally. People who can help you seem to cross your path at exactly the right moment. Solutions to problems you've been wrestling with suddenly become obvious. This isn't magic, it's physics. When you're in a state of stillness and coherence, you're no longer broadcasting the chaotic signals of desperation, control, or struggle. Instead, you're emanating the clear frequency of trust, receptivity, and alignment. The field responds to this clarity by organizing circumstances to match your state. Consider the eye of a hurricane. All around it, winds rage at hundreds of miles per hour, destruction and chaos swirl in every direction. But at the very center is perfect calm, perfect stillness. From that center, the entire storm system is organized. This is the kind of stillness you can cultivate within yourself, not the stillness of someone who has given up, but the stillness of someone who has learned to be the organizing principle of their own life. The difference between control and alignment becomes crystal clear in this stillness. Control tries to manipulate external circumstances to match internal desires. Alignment allows internal coherence to magnetize external harmony. Control is exhausting because you're fighting against the natural flow of life. Alignment is effortless because you're cooperating with it. When you breathe consciously, when you rest in the quantum pause, when you inhabit your inner temple fully, you're not trying to make things happen. You're allowing things to happen through you. You become a clear channel for the intelligence of the universe to express itself in your life. This doesn't mean becoming passive or lazy. True stillness is incredibly alive, incredibly aware. It's the stillness of a master archer just before releasing the arrow. Completely focused, completely present, completely ready for whatever emerges. From this place, your actions become effortless and incredibly effective because they're arising from alignment rather than effort. Now, as you leave this space, take this rhythm with you. And now you return not to who you were, but to who you've always been. Beneath the noise, the breath brought you here, and now it reveals the final truth. Stillness is not the absence of power. Stillness is power. You've journeyed through the sacred nature of breath, discovering that those 23,000 daily breaths are not mere biological functions, but opportunities for conscious creation. You've awakened the observer within, that eternal part of you that watches thoughts like clouds passing across an infinite sky. In the quantum pause between breaths, you found the sacred doorway where intention crystallizes into reality. Through building your inner temple, you've learned that your body is not just flesh and bone, but a living sanctuary, storing the stories of your life while offering pathways to healing and transformation. You've discovered that your breath creates an electromagnetic field extending 8 feet around you, making you a constant broadcaster of peace or chaos to everyone you encounter. And finally, you've touched the profound truth that the most powerful action is often no action at all. The dynamic stillness that allows reality to reorganize itself around your coherent presence, rather than forcing it to bend to your will. There will be moments when the world pulls you away, when emotion clouds the lens, when thoughts spiral. In those moments, remember the shortest path home is breath. 3 conscious inhales can bring you back to the observer. 1 pause between breaths can reconnect you to the quantum field. A single moment of stillness can restore your inner temple. This isn't about perfection. It's about returning. Each time you remember to breathe consciously, you're not just improving your day, you're reshaping your reality from the quantum level up. You're becoming a living demonstration that consciousness, not circumstance, is the true creative force. Now, as you leave this space, take this rhythm with you. Let your breath be your compass. Let stillness be your throne. Let awareness walk with you in every word, every choice, every pause. So breathe. Not to survive, to remember, not to escape, to embody, not to control, to create. The breath is the key. You are the door. Step through.